the most original talk radio station anywhere. We are LA Talk Radio at latalkradio.com.
You're listening to Question Reality. Question Reality with Priscilla Leona. Priscilla Leona. Only on LA Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome to the show. My goodness gracious, it's still Cinco de Mayo going on over in this house with the margaritas flowing. Welcome to Question Reality. I'm your host, Priscilla Leona. Again, did I just say that? I don't know. I have a hangover. I may be saying double things, repeating myself. So bear with me today. We are coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. Our show is broadcast every Sunday from 5 p.m. to 5:50 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, if this is your first time tuning in, our show will help you to question your career reality. This show is for you if you were, are, or might be considering a career in the entertainment industry. Now, our guests provide advice, tips, resource information on how and what it takes to successfully pursue a career in show business. And our guests work in various professions of entertainment, so that means that you will definitely have someone on the show sooner or later from a career that you are interested. If you want to check out our past guests, read their bios, listen to their interview instantly, or download one of their shows, go to the LA Talk Radio website, latalkradio.com. Excuse me. Click on the link at the top of the website that says Channel 1. Scroll down, look for the graphic of our show, Question Reality, and click the link. And this takes you directly to our archive page where you can view the list of past guests. And our shows are also available for download on iTunes under the podcast section. Just type in Question Reality Radio in the search box. And if you want to find out about our future guests, you want to go to the official website, which is questionrealityshow.com. questionrealityshow.com. Now, we have a fantastic guest for you today. He is a returning guest. I always love when they return because I never know after I get them on the show if they're ever going to come back after dealing with me for 50 minutes. But Rob has very happily agreed to come back. Rob Williams, he is a producer, a director, and a writer. His website is guesthousefilms.com, guesthousefilms.com, and he is going to be telling us all kinds of things today. One of the things that, excuse me, I got an email from, we had a listener, Michelle. Oh, that's cute. Michelle from New Rochelle. She wanted to know, how does a production company self-distribute their films? And then we have Edgar from Chi-Town. I don't know where that is, but it's Chi-Town. Maybe that's Chicago. How can you get gay films into the mainstream commercial venues? So hopefully he can tell us that, give us the answer to that question. And lastly, we've got Lisa from Baltimore, Maryland, who says, how does a gay actor not get stereotyped? So those are the questions we are going to probe Rob Williams with today, and hopefully he can give us the answers. Now, first, let's get to the goodies, which everybody is looking for. Get your pen and paper and write it down, because we are about to tell you some really good actor workshops to go to that are coming up this week. Let's start. I have a new place to tell you about that I have not advertised before on our show. It is called the Actors Syndicate, and that website is actorssyndicate.com. Go figure. The Actors Syndicate, it's a no-frills casting director workshop, and it's located right in the heart of West Hollywood. And they provide the platform where you have an opportunity to showcase your skills to the top casting directors in town and create those relationships that you get get your career going, and you need your career to be going in the right direction. So you have to go to workshops. You have to. It's not just to go to classes. You got to go to the workshops too. Now at the Actors Syndicate, they bring in only the top casting directors and their associates. They require every casting director to they got to qualify. I think they've got to be a member of the Casting Society of America and in good standing, and they also must have at least 18 months experience as a casting director or casting associate. So that's kind of good. They do have requirements. I know there are some actor workshops out there where they have beginners actually doing the classes. Very sad to say, but I have been told. The Actors Syndicate is located at 668 North Lapeer Drive. That's Lapeer in West Hollywood. So 2 classes that are coming up that I thought, because they sent me a whole list of classes to choose from, but I picked the 2 that I'm very, very familiar with, and they're very accomplished casting directors in the business. Monday, tomorrow, May 7th at 7 p.m., it's going to be Craig Campobasso casting. And wait till you hear this. They are having a special. Are you ready for this workshop? $24.50. $24.50. Unheard of. Cannot even believe it. Now, Craig, I'm sure most of you have heard of him, know him, have maybe had an audition at Craig Campobasso Casting, but Craig himself he's cast over 50 films, ranging from multi-million-dollar pictures to the small indie films, and he loves to meet new actors. Why wouldn't he? He currently has 4 films in production and 2 in pre-production, and you can check him out on IMDb. And again, this is the Actors Syndicate website, actorsyndicate.com. Their next workshop that I thought was very cool is Wednesday, May 23rd at 7 p.m., and that's with Fern Champion Casting. And again, special price, $24.50, like half of what the normal price is. So Fern, as you know, is a pillar in the casting world. Everybody knows her. Even if you're not an actor and you watch a film, you've seen her name in as the casting director. And she's cast over 65 television projects and 74 films to date, and now casting for 2 films here in LA. So don't miss this workshop. Again, actorsyndicate.com. And the very last one I want to tell you about is tomorrow, 7:30, and this is at the Exposure Studio. And that is 741 North Cahuenga in Los Angeles. And the website is theexposurestudio.com. And the casting director there is Kimberly Foster McCullum of Shaner Testa Casting, and that price, very fair, $30. And Kimberly is an associate casting director there. Huge office. She's been casting over 13 years and has a lot of knowledge and experience with guiding actors. And she loves to teach preparation skills in that mock audition setting. It's very, very educational. Highly recommended. And Kimberly mainly works on episodic shows like Make It or Break It. Oh my God, that was one of my favorite shows. I'm so sad it's coming to an end, but I'm so amped up for tomorrow night's episode. I just hope they do it right. She also worked on Charmed. That's when I met her, when she worked on Charmed. And she's worked on Welcome Home, Roscoe Jennings, and the list goes on. So you want to check her out on IMDb. So there you go, the top hot picks for this week that I think everyone will benefit from for sure. So get going, people. Get to those workshops. All right. Let's get back to our guest today and find out a little bit about Rob. As I said before, he is a producer, a director, and a writer, and he is the co-founder of Guest House Films, which is an LA-based film company that is a leader in the niche of gay independent cinema. But Guest House Films is not just a film production company, but they're also a distributor. And Rob has produced an astounding 4 films in just under 3 years, including my favorite, and you're going to love this title, You're going to definitely want to see this one. Make the Yuletide Gay. That was my favorite. And he's also done Long-Term Relationship, Back Soon, and 3-Day Weekend. And you can find all these movies on Netflix, Blockbuster, and Amazon. And their latest film project, Black Briefs, is the first compilation of dark-themed gay short films, and it debuted as #1 on the TLAgay.com gay DVD bestseller list. So you can't get any better than Rob Williams. So without further ado, let's find out. Rob, are you here?
I am here. How are you?
I am fantastic. Did you love all those laurels and accolades that I gave you?
I really did. Just read them again. That'd be great.
Well, I'm sure I could go on about 4 or 5 more paragraphs because you are the man in gay cinema today, I hear. I hear there is no one else but Rob Williams. Is this true?
Well, there are a few other people, but thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, I wanted to talk to you a little bit today. You've been on the show before, so we've already done my what did you want to do, who did you want to be when you grew up question before, so I'm not going to force you to do that again. But today I want to talk about a couple things that maybe we can help the audience out with, things about actors, directors, producers, how you become one, what do you do when you are one, and what are some of the goals that one could aspire to. So I want to start out with the very first question. This actually comes from another guy named Rob from New Orleans, and he says, how does one become a successful director? What do you think?
Wow, that's a really good question. It's really tough because I don't think there's one right answer. I think in order to be a really successful director, the first thing you have to do is love film. You need to watch films, you need to love them, and learn what you like in films, what you don't like, what are good films, what are bad films, and just if you don't love the industry, if you don't love movies, then don't try. You really have to love what you do, and you really have to know movies, and know what you like and what you want to do with your movies.
Mm. And what if you like many different types of genres? How do you lock in to the specific genre that is kind of the current theme? For example, you know how sometimes westerns are in, and then the vampires movies are in, and then this one is in. What if you like that genre, but you don't really feel like doing anything? Should you go with what you want to do and make something that's not the trend? Or should you say, okay, well, I like it, I can do it, let me just write it and let me just do it because that's what's in? What should you do?
Well, I think you should always do what you want to do. You should always try to tell the stories that you want to tell, because trends come and go, and if there's a trend that's really popular right now, by the time you can write and direct and distribute a film, that trend may be over. And if you're doing it just to capitalize on that trend, you might have missed the boat. But meanwhile, if you have a project that you really love and a really good story that you want to tell, that's what's going to resonate with viewers. So you should always really just follow your heart and tell the stories that mean the most to you.
So that is true, because some people can write something and pump it out and get it going and still ride the wave of whatever theme is going on commercially. And then other people, it takes a lot longer to write and then get funding and then blah, blah, blah. And by the time everything's ready to go, they're on to zombie flicks, and you're doing something totally different. You're doing sci-fi horror. So I like that there's such a variety always, but there always does seem to be a theme, and directors and writers get a little confused with what to do with that. So I think that was a great question. Okay, the next question comes from Robert from Santa Fe, and he said, hey, Rob, what is the hardest thing about being a director? That's a good question. I like that.
The hardest thing about being a director. I think the hardest part is really casting. And because as a director, if you don't cast your movie properly, you'll never be able to get the performances out of them that you need. And so, every director should be, very involved with the casting process, and you should really find people that just inhabit your characters, and because that makes the actual directing on set so much easier. If someone isn't a good fit and for whatever reason, you get them there and you realize, oh, this isn't going to work, I can't get a performance out of them, you're in trouble. So much of the things that are important into that make the directing easy is all the preparation, whether it's just writing a good script or getting a good cast or, having a good team with you. That makes the time that you're actually on set the joy that it should be. And for me, the time that I'm actually on set is just, pretty much the happiest time of my life. So
let me ask you, when you're to expand on this, I wanted to know from you, what is your viewpoint on how much say should each person really have in on casting, starting from the producer, director, and the writer, because I have personally witnessed situations where we have actors come in and the writer thinks, oh my God, that's the perfect person. The director doesn't like the person at all. The producer could go either way, and looking to the director to say, okay, well, not exactly what we want, but can you make it happen and make this person actually commit to the character and turn into the character. So how that can cause a lot of conflict, which I've seen happen. How do you, establish that in the very beginning of a production where a person is going to have a limited amount of say, or who gets the final direction? Because each one are swayed by each other. Of course, you don't want to piss off the writer, but then you don't want to piss off the director or the producer. So how do you handle that with the casting?
Well, for us, I've always been the writer and the director on our productions. So I never have to worry about pissing off the writer because that's me. And the other producer on our films is my partner, not just in Guest House Films, but my life partner. And so, obviously he has a lot of say, and I value his opinion immensely. It's really hard to say, who, as a director, of course, I want to say, well, the director has the final word. But you do have to look at investors, you have to look at producers, you have to look at everyone else, and you have to look at, chemistry with other people. You may find someone that you really love, but if they don't have the right chemistry with the other actors, one of your producers may say, that doesn't work, and you may not get the person that you want. I don't know if there's ever any hard and fast rule about who gets the final say. I think you have to work as a team and come up with something that everyone's happy with.
But I tell you, it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes the productions end before they begin because they can't agree on the actors. So
yeah, and it's tough. It's like when you have either equally good people applying for the roles, or you have people with very different opinions about what that character should be, who the right actor or actress should be. It's very difficult, and you've got to work that out and figure out who is going to be best, not only for the movie but for the production that everyone can be happy with. So it's very tough. That's why casting is so important for the production. I mean, you really can't overlook how important that is.
Well, this next question fits perfectly into what we're talking about. This is Cliff from Seaside Heights, and he is asking you, Rob, what should actors not, oh, that should be a do. It's a zero, just a no. I'm going to assume this is a do. What should actors not do on an audition?
Oh, what should
well,
they shouldn't
try to get the director on the casting couch is one thing, Rob. What else? They shouldn't chew gum. It's common sense. But let's talk about some more higher level things.
They shouldn't be late. They shouldn't blow off the audition. We just had auditions for our new film, and we had a very surprising number of no-shows. And, it's kind of a small world in kind of L.A. indie film acting, especially in indie gay films in L.A. And so, when someone doesn't show up to an audition and doesn't call to explain, you remember that. Probably more than if they came and gave a bad audition. You remember if they just didn't show up. But also just if you show up and you haven't read the sides, if you haven't thought about the character, then that's going to come through. I'm always impressed with the people who show up at an audition who not only have memorized the sides, but have thought about the character and have shown up. They've shown up in character, whether it's their wardrobe, their attitude, everything. It's like they walk in the room and immediately you see that they have given the character enough thought that they're going to kind of knock it out of the park. So I think people who just kind of show up, grab the sides, read them, and leave, that's what you shouldn't do. You should really prepare.
And also, I want to point out that these are obvious common sense things, but you would be amazed at how many people don't have common sense. Like, do not sit in there and text constantly. You should be focusing on your sides. I've seen that. Don't distract the other actors when they're trying to read their sides. And most of all, do not talk about, I've auditioned for this director before, this person, and start doing the bad mouthing. Am I right? I see it happen. I've gone on auditions and actual interviews for the director when they call me in, and we're sitting out there and people are just talking up a storm about the person they're about to see, and they have no idea that they're not supposed to do that. Some do, some don't.
And they never know if the person they're talking to also knows the director or the producer or the other people involved. So you should always be very careful about what you say at any given point, because you don't know who knows who you're talking about.
That is true. And you just shouldn't do it in general. Save that stuff for when you get home. You shouldn't do it at all, really. But if you have to because you have diarrhea of the mouth, then you have to just wait till you go home and do it. Don't be doing that. What are you, crazy? What are some common sense comes easily to me. But sometimes other people who are really, 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 really great actors tend to do some things when they meet a director, producer, or writer. They have some faux pas. I don't want to point them out, but what are some things that you should not do as an actor? Say if you're meeting in a situation like a party or you're introduced by someone, just in a casual setting, non-business, like what should an actor not do? Because I have seen them do some crazy things. I'm wondering if you have seen that and you could give some advice, because there are some good actors that just don't know how they're supposed to act around directors, producers, and writers, and they end up doing things that prohibit them from even getting called in. Why don't you tell us about that?
Oh gosh, the thing that always turns me off is when anyone is just very pushy, and especially if they're, whether it's an actor or a writer or whatever, and if you're at a party and it's like, I would love for you to read my script. Here's my headshot or whatever. It's like, I can give you my card. You can email that to me, but don't kind of be really aggressive in a social situation. Just, introduce yourself. If we hit it off, that's great. Send me a follow-up email and, if you're an actor, send me a follow-up email with your headshot and a link to your reel and all of that stuff. And but don't start telling me about this great project that you have written for yourself that you're looking for funding for, because that's always tough.
Yeah, it is. And playing the devil's advocate for a second, and I personally agree with you, but I do know, on the other hand, people say, well, there are people who told us we've got to be assertive. We should be aggressive with our career. And if we see an opportunity, why are we not going to try to take it? And I'd be a fool to not let the person know about blah, 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 this. And that's really a fine line, because, yes, you do want a potential director or producer know about you, but you can't. You should probably wait until they ask. Am I correct? I mean, it's really tough to answer that question, because you'd be a fool to kind of stand there and not say, well, I'm an actor, But you got to know where that fine line is, where you don't come across in a very negative light. So
right, for me, it's if you meet an actor at a party, and the nicest thing that anyone can do is say, if they find out that I'm a director or producer or whatever, the nicest and easiest thing for them to do would be to say, is it okay if I give you my card, or is it okay if I email you with my information, because I'd love to work with you?
Perfect.
That's the most professional thing that you can do. And believe me, when someone gives me their card or then follows up with an email, I look at their stuff. So that's how I would like to be approached. And rather than being too aggressive, and it's tough, because yes, you got to be aggressive, and you've got to kind of get your name out, and you've got to try to meet the right people. But I'm the same way. It's like I get very nervous when I'm around directors that I like, or people or actors who have been in movies that I like. So I'm learning that as well. So.
It is true, especially, and it's really hard, because you don't want people to think that you're an opportunist, but yet you do want to promote yourself. So I guess it's all in the execution of how you do it. So I think that was really good advice for an actor, just to ask, can I give you my card, and I would love to work with you in the future. I think that's perfect. That way it's just really mellow and subtle, and if they're interested, they're interested. If they're not, what are you going to do?
Yeah. And I love hearing if someone actually either knows my work or knows someone that I've worked with. If there's some personal connection, I love hearing that. It's like, meeting someone even at an audition and say, "Oh, I just worked with so and so who was in your movie, blah blah blah." So you immediately know that there is some sort of connection, and that helps actually.
That is very, very good advice. That really, really is. Now, let's turn it to a situation where I know they say birds of a feather flock together, and yes, that's true sometimes, but not always, because I have known some people that are completely opposite than me, and I'm being a soft-hearted, sensitive person, I don't judge them by the way they act or what they do, unless it affects me personally and is harmful to me. So in a situation where an actor would say, yes, I worked with so-and-so in your film, and say that may not have been the most positive experience, or they were very difficult. Do you judge? Does that stick in your mind and may cause you to judge that particular person and not call them for an audition or want to deal with them because the person you work with or the person they're referring has a negative effect on you?
I guess it all depends on who that mutual person is. You obviously don't want anyone to badmouth anyone that you've worked with, or really anyone. So, if someone says, "Oh, I worked with so and so," just leave it at that. It's like, if you're not going to say they were so wonderful and I'm glad we have this connection, then don't say, "Oh, I worked with them and they were just horrible to work with, weren't they?" It's like, yeah, I don't want to hear that.
No.
And unfortunately, a lot of that personal stuff does carry over, and it's kind of hard not to. If you see someone's headshot come through for a submission for a film, and you've had a negative experience with them in a social setting or a professional setting or whatever, I don't think you can help but have that affect your opinion of them.
Absolutely.
So, it's just, you should always be just very professional, at all times, because you never know if the person you're talking about, or if anyone that you're bad-mouthing is someone who's, that might be my best friend. So,
yes.
Anything about them.
Because we do have people who are bad to the bone as friends, don't we, Rob?
Oh yeah. And sometimes if you want to bad-mouth someone, and I can be like, I'm right there with you, but I wouldn't say that.
Of course, you can just do it in your mind. It's okay. Now let's talk about producers. Now, were you a writer first, and then a director, then a producer? What were the steps in your career?
Writer first. I started going to a writing group for several years, kind of learning how to write and learning what. Going to a writing group and hearing your words out loud and hearing other people's scripts, I think, is the best thing that writers can do, period. So I went to this writing group for years, just trying to see if I could be a writer. And then when my partner and I decided to form our company, that was the decision to be producers. And then just talking about the film, that was we came up with the decision that I would be the director as well, even though I haven't gone to film school and I don't have a degree that, qualifies me to be a director. But it goes back to what I said earlier. It's like that love of film, that's what drives me, and that's why I became a director. It's because I love film and I know what I like and I know what I don't like. And, it started out with the writing of the scripts that I wanted to see, and then it became producing and directing those scripts.
Now, was there any reason why you decided to be a writer? Or did you want to be a producer, director, but said, you know what, I want to write my own stuff? Or did you start writing your own stuff because you wanted to have more control over what the outcome was, and then you wanted to direct it to make sure it was done the way it was written? And what was your mindset on that?
Well, I started writing really just like everyone in Los Angeles. You want to write a screenplay and sell it and make a fortune and, have that career. And, you realize very quickly that very few people actually achieve that dream. I started out writing very mainstream scripts compared to, the gay features that we make. And, that was part of just writing what I loved. Wrote horror films and thrillers and romantic comedies and kind of all over the map because I enjoyed so many different kinds of films. When it got into, actually making them ourselves, we chose the genre of gay films because that's the genre where we saw the opportunity to be able to make a difference, and we felt like there was a need for good quality gay films. And I would still love to write for someone else and sell that script and have them run off and do whatever they want to with it and have absolutely no control over it. But right now I'm really enjoying writing and directing and producing my stuff.
When you started writing, let's see, how can I phrase it? Okay, when you started writing, and I assume you were submitting through the usual standards to try to get your projects done. We're talking commercial, mainstream. What did you find was the hardest thing? Okay, so obviously you must have taken the route where you write it, you get the film done, and then you submit it to film festivals. I want to focus in on film festivals right now because I have been hearing the worst possible stuff, which I guess I did not know that this was happening, but now that I'm submitting stuff to film festivals, I'm being told by so many people that you most likely your film is not going to be seen, and that you're basically paying that festival fee for nothing, and that the only people's films who get seen are the celebrities or friends of the celebrities, blah, 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 or the upper echelon A-list people that are doing indie films now. Is this true? Are you going to break my heart and tell me this is true?
It all depends on which festival you're submitting to.
I heard all of them. Is that true?
I don't think it's true for all of them. I think everyone who makes independent films has this dream of submitting to Sundance and getting their film into Sundance, and that's where all of these indie films have come out of. And frankly, Sundance isn't an indie film festival anymore. It's a mainstream, big money Hollywood film festival. So I think when you start kind of aiming at the Sundance film festivals, the Cannes, the LA Film Festival, Tribeca, if you aim really high, there's a really good chance that those festivals are, not going to pick up a small independent film from someone they've never heard of. And I think that's kind of the reality. Because film festivals are also a business. They have to get the films that are going to get people in the seats who are going to get the sponsors to donate money, and so they've got to go after the biggest films that they can. With that being said, my experience with gay film festivals has been very different because it is a niche market. The film festivals are looking for good quality films, and I wouldn't be here doing this today if that one film festival hadn't picked up my first film and said, I like what I see, we're going to give you a shot. And that was the New Fest Gay Film Festival in New York. They picked up my first film, Long-Term Relationship, I had no track record. This was my first film, and they actually, picked it up, showed it at the festival, and kind of everything happened from there. So it can happen. You just have to be very kind of realistic about what film festivals you submit to. And, if you can make a film that's very much targeted to a specific market, like we do, it increases your chances of getting into film festivals.
Wow.
And therefore being seen and getting distributed. So many people make that coming-of-age road trip movie, which I apologize if that's the kind of movie you're talking about, but it's, there's certain kinds of movies that kind of everyone tries to do, and when you're submitting, I'm sure the Sundance people see 1,000 of those kind of films. So you either have to be very unique or make a film for a unique market that gives you a better shot.
Well, I'm also curious with this is a very common sense kind of thing. I was talking to a friend of mine at a writers meeting last week, and it's common sense, but I actually, having common sense, never thought about this. He said, well, think about this, Priscilla. How many submissions go to Sundance and Tribeca and all the big ones, and think about how many people are actually really viewing these films. I mean, what do you think the percentage is that your films are going to get viewed? They don't have thousands of people that actually sit and watch all of these films. There's a very limited number of people that they have, and they are going to always look at the accomplished people, say the celebrities and people who've had hits before, and most likely your film is really not going to be looked at all. So is that true? Are you going to break my heart and tell me that that's really true? Because it does seem common sense. I mean, if you get 10, 20,000 submissions, how long would that take for 6 people to look at? And do they really look at them, do you think, in the commercial mainstream?
I've never been on that side of it, so I honestly don't know whether these film festival programmers actually watch everything that they see. I would guess that they watch, that they do, but, if you don't hook them within the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they probably have a guideline that says, if I'm not intrigued in 15 minutes or 10 minutes, I'm going to turn it off and go to the next one. Which is the same thing as, when you're reading a script. If it doesn't hook you in the first few pages, you just move on.
It is. And then everything is just, you don't know, the person liking the person watching your film may just not like the subject content. I mean, I don't know what the secret is. It's like, how do you discover the secret? How can we write a Blair Witch Project? My God. Okay,
well, you can't go into it thinking, how do I write a Blair Witch Project? You have to go in thinking, how do I write and direct and make the best film that I can? But I can say, having, found some success in a niche market, it's like I wouldn't have the success if I was trying to make mainstream films, because,
right.
You target a market that is hungry for very specific products, and you stand a much better shot.
So it's really kind of a gamble, though, because what if you like a certain genre of film and that's not the end thing? That goes back to what we were talking about. They may be looking for something specific that they were told, okay, why don't you pick out the film? Because I'm told that the people who watch these things are sometimes told, look, we're looking for this type film.
Oh yeah, I've had film festivals actually contact me saying, do you have any films about this subject matter?
Right.
And so it's very clear that that's what they're looking for. And,
how do you find out what they're looking for if you don't, is there a secret, a little tip you can give us? I mean, how do you know what they're looking for so you know?
Well, you can't. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have a really good relationship with a lot of the gay film festivals, and so whenever we make a movie, I know that we have some friends out there and some fans, and I'm very grateful and lucky to have that. But I also have a good relationship with some people who, are comfortable enough contacting me to say, we're looking specifically for this. Now, I don't know why they make that decision to look for that subject matter, but it could be, trends, it could be sponsors, it could be whatever. But, if they're looking for a specific kind of movie, that's fine. I think, that's their right to look for whatever they want to. And it's just hard to know what that is.
That's for sure. Let's talk about the success of self-distributing your last film, Role Play, which came out last year. Now,
yes.
You are, from what I understand, Guest House Films is a distributor and possibly the first gay film production house to become a distributor. Can you tell me how you did it? What's your secret? And tell me about the success of self-distributing Role Play.
The secret is just, making that decision to take all of that on ourselves. And Role Play was our 5th film. So after kind of developing relationships with distributors and retailers and film festivals and international distributors and all of that, that allowed us to make that business decision to get into self-distribution. It would have been very difficult to do that for our first film if you don't have a track record, if you don't have some of those connections. But it's also much, much easier nowadays Once you've made your film, it's much easier to, sell it on Amazon, to, go through wholesalers to get it on iTunes or Amazon Video on Demand, or to get it into retail stores, or even just to sell it on your website yourself. The technology has changed a lot that now allows filmmakers to get their film to the public directly. And, that wasn't there even just a few years ago. And so, we're trying to take advantage of all the opportunities that are there from a technology standpoint, but just also, building those relationships and, leveraging the success of our first 4 films to then release our 5th film and, have some success with it. And that's what we'll do with the next film, which we're shooting later this month. So, we'll see what happens.
Now, I have heard a lot of buzz about this briefs collection. And when I say briefs collection, I immediately, of course, think underwear. And you've had huge success with Black Briefs, which is your film, and that you have an upcoming release of Blue Briefs on June 26th. Can you tell me what is the scoop on this briefs collection? What is this all about? How did you come up with that title? What's it all about? Why is it a collection?
Well, what happened is after we distributed Roleplay, we made that decision that we wanted to distribute other people's films. And going to film festivals, one of the most popular programs is always the short film programs. And there are a ton of really amazing short films out there. And, again, because we target the gay market, we went to Outfest here in Los Angeles, and we went to, Newfest New York and all of the other film festivals that we could, and, found a lot of really great short films that, might not have otherwise had the opportunity to be released on DVD. And so we created these collections around certain themes. So Black Briefs was a collection of 6 dark-themed films. So that's why it's black, because they're just very dark movies. Blue Briefs is all about relationships and kind of the pain of love. And so we, that kind of lends itself to the blue color. And so, we just had the idea of the collections being these colors, and obviously having the Hawkeye on the cover in his underwear is getting some attention. People seem to like that.
I love it. That is a brilliant idea. Black and blue. I was thinking bruise, like you're bruised. You get a black eye, and then it's blue, and that really relates very well. I think that really entwines the collection. That's a great idea. I love that for sure. Now,
well, thanks. It's a lot of fun, and it's great to be able to work with all of these filmmakers who have made these short films and get those out there. So we're really happy that we have that opportunity to do that.
Well, if anybody wants to add to Rob Williams' Black Brief or Blue Brief collection, guesthousefilms.com. Real quick before we leave, we got 2 minutes. Let's talk about your upcoming release, The Doctor's Wife, which is an Australian documentary.
Yes, we're very excited about that. It's a great feel-good documentary about this doctor in Australia and his partner, Jonathan Duffy, who's the writer and director and producer of the film, who have to go to a rural Queensland town, a very small town, for the doctor to work. And I think the town is like 1,000 people, and so they were very kind of wary of the kind of reception they were going to get when they got there. And so they decided to document it and kind of see how did the town respond to them. And it turns out the town opened them with open arms, and the doctor was very well loved, and his partner really got out there in the community. And so it's this great documentary about when expecting the worst, and then sometimes people actually surprise you and welcome you and treat you well, and it's just a great documentary, and we hope it'll be playing at a lot of film festivals this year, and then we'll get it on DVD later on.
Well, if you're involved, we know it will. And we got 1 minute. Tell me about your next film. I love the title, The Men Next Door, and that's going into production this month. Tell us about it real quick.
Real quick, The Men Next Door, it's about a 40-year-old man who finds himself dating two very lovable men, one who is 50 years old and one who is 30 years old. So kind of exploring that age difference, but then he finds out that these two men that he's dating are actually father and son.
Oh!
And wackiness ensues.
Oh, my God, I love that. Oh, now that is really spicy. I love it already, whether it's
going to be a lot of fun. We've got great actors, and it's just a blast.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I'm going to keep an eye open for that one. Well, if you want to find out I can't talk. If you want to find out more about my darling Rob Williams, and you want to find out more about the Black Collection, the Blue Collection, The Doctor's Wife, the Australian documentary, or what seems to be my favorite now, The Men Next Door, go to Rob's website, guesthousefilms.com, and you can find out more. Rob, as always, you are so special. And
thank you for having me. I had a blast.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much, and thank you for getting gay films into the mainstream, and always on that path, which is what we need. And because the hottest men in the world are gay men, unfortunately for me. And with that note, thank your audience, Rob.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the wonderful questions, and thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. GuestHowFilm.com. Goodbye.
Bye.
You're listening to Question Reality. Question Reality with Priscilla Leona. Only on LA Talk Radio.